going on, everybody? Welcome. Another episode of Propping Up, Gold Boys Network, brought to you by Pickett and Boom Fantasy. I'm GriffyBets, joined by WallaBets here. We got a small slate today. Famous last words, but it feels like it should be a relatively quick show. But some good games. I mean, definitely a ton of postseason implications at play with these three games. So certainly expect some good efforts, just good hockey to watch at the very least. How you doing, Wall? How's your week been?
It's been all right. Monday was pretty good. We had our show. Felt good talking about everything and had an all right day. Yesterday was pretty much even for me. Arvidsson couldn't get a third shot. That was a little painful, but you know, been hitting some other stuff like on the side with people and just talking hockey in chat. So been having fun. And yeah, I like these games. I like you said, I think they're going to be fun games overall. At first, I wasn't too excited about the prop slate, but it's looking pretty good for three games, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple looks in each. Yeah, this week's been a little frustrating for me. Last night in particular was really annoying. I feel like I read a lot of the games right, and I just played them the wrong way. Like I don't know why I just didn't play the over in Pittsburgh, Detroit, and had to tack on Pittsburgh money line like a doofus. Because that flew over like it always does between those two teams. I don't know why I didn't play the over in Vegas, Edmonton, and paired Vegas with a
Yeah.
losing other bet, and then I had a ton of same game parlays all come. Just a couple guys all finish with one instead of two. So horrible flip. Yeah, it was a rough night for sure. But what are you gonna do?
You know what was awesome though?
What?
Sagan at plus 142 against Chicago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That guy just, he missed against them two times ago. It's on. We talked about that trend. He's, what are you drinking there?
I made a double espresso. It's just horrible.
Yeah, that face wasn't too wasn't too good there. Yeah,
Horrible.
but I was just saying Sagan loves playing against Blackhawks, scored right away, got his three shots. He was good prices. So that was awesome about the night though. I just love that trend. It's probably the funniest one. But yeah, let's get into these games though.
Okay, why don't we start with what seems to be an exciting one, Florida, Toronto. Over's up at 7, which certainly makes sense with two high-powered offenses. Toronto's secured in their postseason spot, but certainly no reason to take the foot off the gas. Florida is right behind Pittsburgh, who, as I just alluded to, clearly sucks eggs. So Florida, right in the mix. To still getting that playoffs. So I don't know, should be a fun game. Do you have anything in here yet that's catching your eye?
I didn't I didn't place anything yet. I only have one thing in it's for a different game so far, but yeah, I think everybody's going to be talking about Verhage. I see he's around even money for his shots line. And, on paper, you look at Toronto and it's not like an enticing matchup overall for their, shots allowed. But he's hit in this matchup a couple times. Bennett is out again. So, yeah, that just opens up a little bit of volume for some people. So I think that's going to be a popular look today, and I think it does make sense. He's just been rolling his volumes really nice. You see that even money price tag, and I would definitely understand being enticed by that. I haven't locked it in yet, but seeing Bennett still out, it should give him some opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good flag. I mean, he's been awesome this year. And I mean, yeah, I mean, for the most part, last 2 years, Florida's gotten their shots off against Toronto. I hadn't even really been poking around on their end too much, but I mean, they had one game this past January where they only got 19 shots off, and that was in Toronto for whatever that's worth. But for the last 5 meetings, they've gotten 35 plus shots off as a team. So,
Yeah, it's six
and
when they were in Toronto. Wow. Sheesh.
yeah, I mean, they're certainly going to be desperate here. Uh, and they're obviously shoot a ton. So I like that flag. I hadn't even really looked on that side very much. I wasn't loving tonight for shot props, but
Yeah, I think it was just seeing him at, even money is what it draws you in. You see even money, you see the 9 out of 10 hit rate. He's hit against Toronto a couple times. Bennett's gonna be out. So, it looks really nice. Just like, why is it plus 100?
well, I
It's
think it's plus 100 because Toronto doesn't let up a lot
Toronto.
of shots.
Yeah.
But that is solid. I mean, I feel like lately it's crazy to see how many that he's landing on just four because I feel like lately Verhaeghe just comes out the gate firing.
Yeah, he has a
What was
lot of
that game?
volume.
He had four shots in the first like 5 minutes.
Mhm.
I maybe that was against
And he
Toronto.
ended with 4 too.
That might
But
have been against Toronto six days ago. I'm not sure. That
mhm,
happened pretty recently. Yeah, that's a good flag. I mean,
lots of
yeah, I mean, not
volume.
the worst game to throw out a same game parlay unless the odds are absolutely ridiculous, like they have kind of started to become. Yeah, I like Verhage. I'm definitely more interested in goals and particularly on the Toronto end. Florida's letting up 4.4 on the road last 10. There's definitely a significant power play edge for Toronto. There is for Florida as well, but seeing Toronto scoring almost four a game at home. Um, and then just the last five meetings, really, actually, the last six meetings, they've gone 5 goals or more in five of them. So I'm definitely expecting some goals here for the Maple Leafs at home. I think there's a couple ways you could play it. I did do just like a not nothing crazy, but a same game parlay of the main guys, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares all to score. Came in at like plus 1088. I don't know. I really like Matthews' goal. I just hate the price. He's just been shooting like a maniac lately. Um, and he's got 3 goals this year against Florida. So
Yeah.
certainly like him. Nylander has also 3 goals against Florida this year, and he's got a goal in 7 of his last 10 at home. And I kind of value wise, I think Tavares might be the best simply because penalties Florida gives up, especially on the road. Um, Clear power play edge. Tavares is leading the team on power play goals and power play shots. I think he's fresh off a 2 goal game. So I like the most score and just to start, I just threw him in a parlay for fun. But I'm going to be revisiting this, whether it's a team total or a couple of these guys straight.
Yeah. I'm looking at it. I think if you have the capability to do it, look at that Matthews, which I think he does look pretty good to score. And I don't like minus 125 for a goal. I think you know, maybe parlaying it with a Marner assist, which is minus 215 and makes sense. He has this like a 64% hit rate, and in 8 of his last 10, he has an assist, but he has 3 assists against Florida in the 2 games. So, there's correlation there. Matthews could score assisted by Marner. I like that. Granted, if you do that on 365, the goal has to come in regulation. So that's the only thing. If it happens in overtime, kind of sucks. But uh, that looks pretty good to me if you want to go the goal route for Matthews, but don't want minus money. Marner's been just dishing out so many assists.
Yeah, that's a solid combo. I think, if you don't have Bet 365, you could possibly follow that line anyway and go to John Croc point. He's on the top line with them. He's plus 106 for a point. He has he has 8 in his last 10 games at home. He's been really steady with a point in 7 of his last 10. He got a point in 2 of his last 3 against Florida. So I mean, if you're liking Matthews and Marner to be involved in a goal,
Yep.
decent chance that John Croc gets involved.
Yeah, I really like that look. I think that's a good at plus 106 could be a good straight play there. And yeah, he's not on the power play with them, I don't think. So that's the downside. But I mean, he's still with them and should, like you said, get his chances. So I like that one. It's always nice getting a top line guy at plus money, and I mean, it's not just any top line. He's with Matthews and Marner, so that's real nice.
Speaking of power play, I put a unit on. It's available on Barstool. Over 1.5 power play goals scored at plus 110. It's probably my favorite of the day. Just a pretty clear intersection. If you just look, regardless of location, two top 10 power play scoring teams and bottom 12 penalty kills. So you always like seeing that. And then I was kind of sifting through the location data a little bit more. Both teams are handing out over 3 power plays per game in the past month where they are tonight. And those struggles and strengths continue. And for the last 5 meetings, and both this year, there have been at least 2 power play goals. So I went for that instead of trying to guess who's involved. If you'd rather guess who's involved, I think Tavares looks great, and Brandon Montour on the other side. Those are the 2 power play point leaders from the last 10. Montour's got a power play point in both games this year, and Tavares is just rolling with his power play points. He's got 8 in his last 10 games, and against Florida, he's got 5 in his last 5.
Yep, I like that angle. I like the going for over 1.5 in the game total. But yeah, I think there's some interesting, if you want to go with players, some interesting angles, but prices. That's a good price on Tavares plus 156. Nylander hasn't been as consistent, but he has won in both games against Florida. That's plus 190. Then there's Riley, who didn't have one against Florida, but he has 3 in his last 5, and he's at plus 290 if he's in. I don't know. I think he was rested the other game, but yeah, there's a lot of interesting angles here. Tavares looks really good. And yeah, like you said, Montour as well. They're both just rolling. That's some good plus money if you trying to find value in these games.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do something with Toronto's team total because I hate putting all the eggs in a specific player to be involved. I just don't know if I want to. On DraftKings, they're 3.5, including overtime, is minus 140. So I'd probably have to pair with something, and then over 4.5 is plus 155, which I don't hate. I mean, based on last couple of years, they're hitting that pretty steady against Florida. Florida definitely doesn't scare me defensively. I'm just not sure if I want to play that straight up at. I mean, it's just such a menacing number, but I'm trying to think, like the Rangers last night, such an obvious smash spot, and of course I watered it down and paired it with the loser, and they ended up with 6 goals. Same with Vegas. I watered Vegas down and paired it with a loser also, because I guess I'm a loser, and they also got 4 goals. 3.5 was plus money. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. One of those 2.
Yeah, I think I might join in on the power play goal angle though. I really like that one. I think there should be chances, and just the guys in this game can produce so well. So I like that one. What'd you say it was plus 110? It's a pretty solid price. So
Yeah, plus 110 on Barstool. I mean, they're definitely heavily weighted. I don't care if Toronto gets both of them. Toronto definitely looks the best if you wanted to focus on one, but they're minus 200 to score one themselves on Barstool. So if you wanted to go a specific team, I'd focus someone on the Maple Leafs.
yeah.
I think that's about it. I thought Morgan Riley point looked okay. We were chatting before on FanDuel. Now there's alternate points. And I think moving Marner down to 1 point is a really safe parlay inclusion. I'm thinking of, I paired it with Ovi and Makar to get a point also. But yeah, Marner to get 1 point minus 460, which, yeah, I mean, that's not a great price, but you look at his whole year. I'm just bringing it up. He has a point in 86% of his games, which you turn that percentage into some odds, and that's suggested odds are minus 630. So to me, this minus 460 feels kind of almost like a bargain, as crazy as that sounds. And Marner is just last 2 years, he's got 12 points in 5 games against Florida. I don't know how that stretches back further than that, but yeah, he's been so steady. So down at a point seems wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can do that and make a play with it, that's a solid look. Um, Unfortunately, on 365, you got to go with the points line. You can't in that same game parlay. You can't alternate it. So if you want to go assist, that would be a good route too. But point definitely more solid. There is a game where he scored against Florida and didn't tally an assist, so it could happen. I just I like that angle, Matthews scoring and Marner getting an assist. I think that, like you said, Toronto's just got some nice looks today.
Yeah, it's a great combo. All right, let's jump to Islanders Capitals. I kind of my initial take of this was that I kind of liked the over, um, just based on both teams scoring and allowing over 3 in their locations. Washington's been really loose to goals lately, and just the last couple meetings between these teams have pretty steadily gone over. The over's at 5.5. Darcy Kemper looks like he's been struggling a little bit lately. I think he's allowed 4 goals in 3 or 4 of his last 4 or 5 games. And yeah, I mean, the last 3 meetings have all hit 6, 4 of the last 5. I'm thinking the over. I kind of lean the Islanders if I was going to pick one team to be involved. I think they just look a little bit better um, for scoring. That was my read.
Yeah, in this one, I was trying to look at some shot data at first because this slate, yeah, it wasn't looking the best for shots. So I was trying to find if there's any angles available that stood out. And the Capitals have been letting up some shots to wingers recently, but I mean, on the Islanders side, there's nobody who's really jumping out to me too much. Yeah, if I just go real short sample size, Palmieri last couple games, but not that doesn't work either. Nothing was really jumping out as far as those trends for me. So I was just poking around, and it's nice to see Carlson's back and shooting uh consistently right out the gates. He was a really steady play for on the Capitals, and he has a pretty nice history against the Islanders in recent meetings. Over in 3 of his last 4, had a big 6-shot game in there. Um, Still down at minus 140. If he keeps being as steady as he was, that's not going to be the price for Carlson for much longer.
Yeah, it was nice to see his name back in the fold. It's been a while, it feels like.
Yeah, he was out for a bit, got hit in the face with that puck, did some damage, but came right back, and he's shooting. And yeah, earlier on in the season, he was just felt really steady. So like I'm just saying that minus 140 price. If this is how he's going to be shooting, he's not going to stay around there, around that line for too long. I think it was a little bit better this morning, so it was already moving. But nice to see him back and firing away. 7 shots on goal last game.
Yeah, I mean, these 2 games back, yeah, 17 attempts, 10 shots on goal, 3 points. It's pretty solid. I mean, his points is pretty reasonable. Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, 3 last 4 against Islanders. I
That
don't
just
know.
felt like a pretty safe one for its price. You know what I mean? Just a lot of stuff's been juiced. And then you go to these alt lines, which are even more juiced. So seeing a guy who just in earlier on in the season just felt like who do I want to pair with Carlson tonight kind of guy. Just looks really good. I'm glad to see that. Just came right back like that. But I think he can get some shots against the Islanders here.
Yeah. I thought if anybody, Bo Horvat looked the best to me on the Islanders end. And we mentioned him on Monday, so steady at the 2. That's where he landed on Monday. But on the road. He's gone over 2.5, 6 of last 7, 4 straight against Washington. The volume isn't crazy, but the guy is getting to 3 shots. And I did find a little interesting in a game. I don't hate the Islanders for goals. All these shots on goal that Horvat's been getting, he's not been scoring, but he finally did last game. He's got 4 goals in his last 5 against Washington. That all came when he was with Vancouver, but his goals seemed a little interesting. I feel like sometimes when we catch these guys finally scoring, they go on a brief little run. So maybe that's coming for Horvat.
It's funny that he scored in that game because I remember we were talking about him, and I had mentioned how he had like 11 straight attempts that were on goal, so he might have a little bit of regression. And then he went 2 for 4, so he did have a little bit regression on the accuracy, but then he ends up scoring with one of those shots anyway. So yeah, that's he the 2 shot line looks great, like you said, and yeah, maybe the floodgates open a bit for him.
Yeah. Besides that, I'm leaning the over here. Um, I think Ovi Point looks great. He's got 15 in his last 10 games. He's got 11 in his last 10 at home, and at least 1 point in 4 straight against the Islanders. I'd have to go back further. Seemed like a safe if you're just trying to do a simple point parlay. Very
Yeah,
involved.
yeah, I thought that looked good, and I've been saying it for a bit. There's been guys in our chat who have been saying it. Yeah, if you like Ovi, you could kind of also just look at Dylan Strome for a more reasonable price. Obviously, it's not guaranteed that they'll be involved together, but man, he's been rolling, and he does get involved on like assisting on OV goals and stuff. So I mean, 9 of his last 10 with a point, and he's at -128. I mean, 5 games with 2 points in there. So if you like scoring, if you like Ovechkin, that's a nice guy to like look at for reasonable straight price for a point. You can get
How
it.
about a little man? So yeah, he's got 2 points in 3 of his last 4 and 5 of his last 8. And last game against the Islanders, he's plus 440 for 2 points on FanDuel.
Oh man.
Uh, man, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think what is it Sorkin in that? Is that why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what we were saying about with Toronto before and Verhaeghe shot price. There's a certain matchups where the prices get better. And I mean it makes sense when you look at the data for goals allowed or shots allowed from these teams, but a couple of guys are just rolling and have had success in the matchups with these nice prices. It definitely entices you. I mean, that's just a lot of points for Strom. So that's been a pretty reliable one lately. This is definitely a tougher spot on paper, numbers wise, though, against the Islanders. But I mean, when you're with Ovechkin, that always helps, and he's got a lot of points against the Islanders, so see it happening.
Yeah, that's interesting. Anything else in this one?
No, not for me anyway. Oh wait, it's Tom Wilson. Did somebody say it was Tom Wilson's birthday or something? I think I saw in one of the chats. It was his birthday, if you like those birthday narratives or whatever. But yeah, I got nothing else.
All right, let's wrap up with Minnesota, Colorado, the late game. Definitely a massive game in the West. Um, yeah, I mean, my initial thought was that I looked right to Colorado for shots. Minnesota letting up over 33 on the road, handing out a decent amount of power plays lately as well. So I went right to Colorado shots and not much else, to be honest. I think we're on the same play. Did you play that yet? Or are you still thinking about it?
Yeah, the first thing I played this morning, and uh, as of right now, the only thing I officially have, and I have some stuff written down that we were talking about, but McKinnon shots. I know he's been he's let some people down recently with same game parlays and some of those things. He's got he's gone under in his last three with 3, 3, and 4 shots, and it was against teams like the Ducks and the Coyotes. So you're like, all right, what's going on? Those should be really easy teams here. But I actually kind of think that he still did well in those games. He's scoring. He was still having good games. Just wasn't for him. The 7 attempts for other people, we would be like, oh, that's great volume. That's actually a little bit low for him, which he's hit in 3 straight. So I'm thinking that we start to see him go up a little bit towards his average, which is on the season 8.7, and it's pretty crazy when you look at his season. If you go up to the shot attempts filter, uh, up at 8 attempts where his average is, he has a like 89% hit rate at this line. So I just think we'll see some positive regression on his attempts in a matchup that's I guess he should be looking at this as more. He needs to step up in this one. So that combined with just the Wilds have just loosened up to shots so much. I think over the last 10, they're like seventh to centers. And yeah, power play opportunities. It just seems like a good spot for McKinnon to, yeah, bust out and just get the shots back up.
Yeah, agreed. I was not when I saw those 3 straight misses, that made me like it even more. I mean, just not a guy who's going to stay under for that long. And yeah, so much steadier at home. Awesome history against Minnesota,
Mhm.
uh, averaging 5.4 shots on goal per game last 5 on 11 attempts per game against them. 3 times he's gotten 6 or more, including both games this year. Yeah, minus 110 MGM. It's still there. It's a little more juiced on DraftKings and FanDuel. So all over that one. I don't hate his goal either, but shots for sure had to jump on that at that price.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. It's cool that on props.cash you could do the shots filters thing, because if I put it at exactly where he ends at 7 attempts, and he's hit this line 1 out of 8 games where he's ended on um 7 attempts, but then if you go up to 8 attempts, like where he just lands on exactly 8, it's 6 of 8. So that just getting one extra attempt is massive for him. So I think that after the 3 7 attempt games, it's positive regression time. Uh, and they wouldn't hurt to get the point in this matchup. So
Yeah, I don't use the shot attempt filter enough. It's funny to just I might have spaced out. I know you mentioned it his shot attempts at 8 overall. Did you happen to filter that by at home too?
no,
You
I was
should.
just looking
You
overall.
I
He
wish
didn't
I
land
could.
on 8.
You could see my screen right now. Why don't you go press the home filter and go to 8 attempts? Uh,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 8 plus. That's a
uh,
perfect 17 of 17 there. So let's get
yeah,
those 8 attempts, McKinnon.
the last 2 years at home with 8 attempts, 91% hit rate. That's
See a
pretty
little extra motivation in this one. It's not the
40,
Coyotes. It's not the Ducks. We got the
42.
Wild coming in. Let's see some
That's,
extra motivation.
damn, that's crazy. Yeah, so that makes me feel even better. Yeah, I love him. I didn't hate Rantanen's shots either. He's certainly picked it up. His volume's pretty nice. He's involved on the power play as well.
Yeah,
I just
somebody's
prefer
actually asking
Rantanen.
about his goal. How we felt about that.
I just didn't really. Well, I don't hate Colorado's score on the power play, but overall, Minnesota's just been really tight to goals that I didn't want to, force something. And I believe, let me double check. I thought these teams had some pretty low scoring games lately. Yeah, I mean, 3 of their last 4 have been 5 or less. I mean, Colorado's gotten 3 and 6 in the 2 this year, so um, but I don't know. I didn't really
Wow.
look that way.
I wish I could look it up at how many shots Kaprizov had in these meetings, because I went over the saves tab, and Minnesota, they had 41 and 36 shots on Colorado, and the saves line is at 24.5 for, the goal for Georgiev. So I'm just wondering
Uh,
how many of those shots were Kirill.
just
That's
seven, just seven this year.
hmm,
Man, he loves scoring against Colorado. Too bad he's not playing.
he's over his saves and 69% at home over that 24.5 line. Yeah, I know Kirill's out, but I mean Boldy's looked pretty good lately. He can definitely rack up some shots. So that doesn't look like a terrible look here.
The only other thing I thought was interesting, so I like Colorado to score on the power play. I mean, last 20 days, their power plays is one of the, I mean, it probably is the best at this number. I'd have to double check, but they're scoring 42.4% rate last 20 days, which is just absurd. Minnesota's penalty kill in the same stretch is 68.8, um, which is very bad. Couple that with a decent amount of power play opportunities allowed, and I like Colorado to score on the power play. I was most intrigued by JT Kempfer, who's on that top power play. He's got a power play point in 3 straight at home. He's plus 300. That seemed interesting to me. They were minus 182 on Barstool to score, so I did not love that. If I was going to pick a player, I kind of like Kempfer here.
Yeah, I think that's a solid look. Yeah, plus 300, that's a big gap for the other guys. So that
Especially
definitely makes it look good.
to be
Uh,
producing just as steadily as anybody else.
yep. I like your guy Valerie, who uh you've been doing some props with him lately. I think this is a good matchup for him overall based on positional data, I believe. He's been racking up some shots again. Remember, for a while last season, he was just a beast, and he's got 5.443 in his last 4 games. Some nice volume and a couple power play points as well. So maybe he could be looked at in there. I mean, he's minus 190 for a point, but he's on a nice point streak as well. Um, but I definitely don't mind his shots. I think with his volume picking up and him looking pretty good lately with them, this should be a good matchup, I believe, for him. So wouldn't be surprised to see him do well. Could be a good parlay piece if you don't want minus 155, maybe with Carlson or something in the other game. I don't know, but I think he's set up well with his volume lately.
Yeah, yeah, I love that guy. Um, yeah, that's all I have down really. I like McCarr for a point. I think he's got a point in 13 to 16 against Minnesota. He's on that top power play, which helps. And he's got 20 points in his last 10 games, which that'll do the trick to just get one here tonight. Uh, Besides that, I didn't write anything else down. Minnesota's dead to me. I've already covered that, so I didn't even look at him. And I don't like him
Wanted
anyway.
to like Hartman. I really wanted to. Just when I just briefly looked, I was like, all right, he hit a couple again after being down. Um, it's on the road, which for a while was really awesome with him. But man, Colorado, just looking at recent games, shots against them, I just prefer not to mess around. I think they were dead last against for centers in last 10 games, and so if Hartman goes over, whatever, kudos. But that definitely gave me a real hesitation backing him. Colorado's tightened up, and that was just dead last positional. So didn't want to mess around with it.
No. All right. Let's go to best bets, I guess. Uh is there anything you coming away with here that you think you're gonna end up playing?
Oh man, I might do a half unit on Carlson and Valerie. I think that they I think that I like those two guys. Carlson's been just so steady. He's got some nice history against the Islanders. Looks good coming back, and then yeah, like I said, Nichushkin's just gotten more, a little bit more volume and just better efficiency with his shots. And I think he's just set up well against Minnesota, who's just not been as good against shots lately. So I like that pairing. Um, I do like the Matthews goal, Marner assist angle. I'm gonna have to check that out. It has to be a good enough price because, like I said, 365 you don't get overtime. So I'll have to check that one out. But yeah, and then I think we're both on the same play for picket play of the day. So that's where
Yeah,
I'm at.
I guess the only other I really do like I like Horvat goal. The Islanders are gonna get 3+ tonight. I just like that he finally got off the schneid a little bit. I like that Kemfer power play point. I'm kind of looking at. I kind of want to do a round robin of Kemfer power play point, Horvat goal, and Tavares power play point. Um,
That could be fun.
I thought it. I thought it could be.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, and sorry, I didn't want to leave out your over 1.5 power play goals. It's a good angle too.
yeah, I definitely like that one. Um, yeah. All right. So pick a play of the day is thanks to Pickett for finding this best price because it is not nearly it's definitely a little more juice than some of the other books, but Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots -110 on BetMGM. I mean, we discussed at length his volume and when he gets that volume, how successful he can be. It's a great matchup. He has good history against him. Just an ideal situation for him to bounce back after a couple down games.
Yep. Um, that's
Wow.
pretty much it with that one. I think just looks solid, like you said, all around, and he's due for that bounce back. I mean, three in a row going under is not like him, and it's just too big of a matchup to you know lay off the gas. I think.
I don't know. I feel like it's conceited to say that it's because of the show, but Kemfer's power play point just got annihilated in front of my eyes. It's down to
Really?
went from +300 to +235.
Ah, that's happened a couple times. I mean, not saying it's us, but we're on the show and I'm looking and something will be plus 200, 220 for a power play point. And then when that show ends and I go to lock it in, it's like, yeah, like that. It's dropped a little bit. So people are onto it. They're onto it. It's a good opportunity.
Oh, god damn it.
Griffey's so upset. Everybody just see the
I
moment you could pinpoint Griffey's heartbreaking.
I guess I gotta go play that. I gotta find the best odds and I gotta go play that just straight. Screw the round robin. I'm getting stupid by combining this long shot with two other long shots. Uh, all right, I'm gonna play that. All righty. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back here Monday. Yeah, Monday. So yeah, good luck tonight.
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys.